And we are very much happy to have two professors actually joining us here on stage today that are also part of our ecosystem already, and that will share with you how to use really smart algorithms and really smart intelligence right on top of your data that is running through the Lobster data network, and we'll see what we can do with that. So please welcome to the stage Florian Kellner and Bernhard Lienland from Like Solutions, everyone.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Stage is yours.
Okay, great. Thanks for listening and thanks for being here. So today we will talk about supply chain transparency. Of course, an important topic we all know. We will talk about challenges and how to get proactive control. We will show you two applications which will be available on the Lobster platform, which will easily be retrievable with the data you have there. So just from short agenda, just short introduction, who are we, Like Solutions, who is talking to you, and then we will quickly go over on the challenges and what to do before we then show you our two applications which will be available. Yeah, short introduction, Florian Kellner, Bernhard Lienland, we're both founders of Like Solutions and both professors at University of OTH Regensburg, mostly in the area of business analytics and informatics, and before we have worked quite some years in different companies and different positions. Since 2009, we're doing consulting and software development, mostly in the area of supply chain management, IT and logistics, but also in sales and purchasing or controlling and management steering. Yeah, what we look out for, basically what's our focus is that we focus first on the process, really end-to-end processes, and then do data analytics, data science. Common pitfalls we see in companies are that you start data science projects, but the data is not there, the people are not there, and it's not really functioning, so that's something we try to avoid. If you want to summarize us, we are, of course, strong background in business, various projects, various positions. This is backed up by academia, some of our publications you see here, so that we really get top-notch, top edge of our research and apply this in our projects. So, short overview of our projects which we have done in the past, some customers we had in the past or have currently. We have a lot of projects in the supply chain area, of course, starting from demand prediction, supplier selection, logistics facility planning, but also in greenhouse gas evaluations up to sales, real-time sales, analytics and reporting up to external investors. Yeah, and in all of our projects, we have seen one common thing, and which is really important, the entire phase, is supply chain transparency. Have supply chain transparency is important, as we all know. And if we just look at the last 5 years, what type of crisis we had, the chips or semiconductor crisis, transport disruptions, legal requirements, what you have all survived in the last 5 years, we can all be lucky that we're still alive and still in business. And currently, customers are calling rare earth, how to behave, how to allocate, what to do. So, and this creates many questions, demand planning, resource allocations, we have legal requirements, are they fulfilled? Up to the point, are our shareholders really well informed? Do we need to change something? Sounds great, sounds easy. We need supply chain transparency, everybody knows. However, it's often not easy to get. When we start projects, very often, especially top management, they come up and say, hey, we have data, let's use it, let's take advantage, make some nice and shiny dashboard on it and make some data analytics process or project. That's very much often what we see. And basis is that people think that's how their data looks like. They see this nice little puppy dog which you like to cuddle and play around, show them the world and play on the couch with this dog. However, that's not how the data look like. That's what your data is really about. And this dog here is the nicest one we found. Their data can be really horrible. Master data, for example. Other topics, data not matching from different ERP systems. So a lot of times you spend a lot of time on data and then the data science project which you originally wanted never happens. So another thing what we see in business or in practice in our projects is that people start with data science and are really eager to focus on this data science project but not talk about processes and data itself. You cannot have a data science project without looking at the process behind. If you do so, you will fail very certain. So it's important that you have a lot of business knowledge when you start data science projects and very good analytical skills. Otherwise, if you don't have one of the two, you will have a high chance on failing. So what do we do at Like Solutions? What do we do when we start projects? We first start very much on the top. We start with the shareholder. What does the shareholder want? What is the expectation from the shareholder? How is this being translated in the strategy of the company? What requirements does the strategy give on our project? Focusing on the price, focusing on the performance, on the risk, or on the greenhouse gas, or how to balance it. This is what we need to know before we start a project. Otherwise, if you have only a mosaic, there's a high chance that you will fail. You need to understand the complete picture from both areas. So, and then at supply chain projects, we look at the entire supply chain, from the first supplier up to the end customer, including, of course, transports, raw material, production, or, of course, the retailers and end consumers. We have done projects in all areas. We have done projects on demand planning, as I said. We have done projects on supplier selection and a lot more. And today, we like to show you 2 applications which we have made, which will also be available on the data platform of Lobster, the CargoCockpit and the DelayDetector, and both combine business knowledge and, of course, analytical skills. Yeah, and then I hand over to Florian.
Okay, thank you, Bernhard. Before I dive into some of the features of our 2 solutions, let's see the IT infrastructure from a super high-level perspective. Okay, on the very left-hand side, you see the Lobster data network, which makes a huge share of the data that we use in our solutions. You know, Lobster takes data from different data sources, such as transportation management software, such as production systems, such as different web APIs, such as purchasing software, and so forth. Collects all this data and then integrates it and provides a standardized API that we use in order to pull this data, retrieve this data, and then enrich it by intelligent algorithms, enrich it with AI, to translate the data to value process in CargoCockpit and the DelayDetector. The first step of these 2 applications is to show you the current situation of your transport network, to inspect network health, to detect some vulnerabilities, some weaknesses, to, in a second step, do some predictive analytics tasks, such as forecasting customer demand or some transport routes or whatever you like, and in the third step, to optimize your logistics network, such as finding optimal locations for distribution centers and so forth. Okay, so CargoCockpit and the DelayDetector are currently presented as some dashboard report solutions which provide different insights into your network. Most important thing is you get an overview of your network health. And we indicate this network health by a couple of key performance indicators. Here on the most top line, you see, for instance, the overall OTP, which indicates the share of your shipments which go well. That means the right product arrives at the right time, in the right place, in the right condition. And across all your transport flows, be they air freight, be they railway, be they road freight transportation, everything is taken into account. And here in the sample data set, we have a 98% OTP percentage. Then also what we collect is data coming from the cost perspective. For instance, here we can indicate across all modes of transport, we have around 47 euro per ton kilometer. Takes all the cost into account, but for sure you can then dive deeper. Also, greenhouse gas emissions, which are currently focused by many companies, are indicated, and not only that we can show the current network health status, but also we can go back in time to learn how the different KPIs have developed in order to detect if there are some trends, if there are some peaks. And for instance, if we focus here on the curve of the CO2 emissions, we spot here in January 23 a certain peak, or here a certain decline concerning the cost. And then we may ask ourselves, okay, how can this happen? How can this arise? And therefore, there are many, many different drill down functionalities where we can identify the root causes. Okay. So our cargo cockpit and the delay detector are identifying these shortcomings themselves, but also you can have, if you want, some your own insights, for instance, into the top routes which are boosting cost, or which are boosting the CO2 emissions, or which experienced a lot of delays during the past. Also, you can spot what are the most cost-intensive modes of transport, or the customers, or the products which were boosting costs, CO2 emissions, and so forth. Also, in the spirit, in the idea of a process mining approach, you all know that human resources are typically limited. That means we need some kind of buddy, some kind of butler who helps us, putting our attention at certain topics. And here, for instance, we can indicate what are the problematic points in our transport network. Are these documentation which is missing? Is it rather force majeure? Is it congestion? What is boosting our delays? What is boosting our cost? All these items can be detected by the solution. And then one feature that you may like, especially in your daily work, is the so-called forecast for potentially delayed active routes. That means the delay detector runs through in real time all of your transport data. Every second it is run through in order to detect which routes are going to be delayed. And for instance, here in this table, we are showing for our sample customer that around 20 routes are currently in risk of seeing a delay. If we focus here, for instance, on the red line, the red row, we identify here Pharmacare Solutions, who has a shipment that needs to be shipped from Savannah to Nuremberg. And then what we can do is we can compare the planned and the actual starting date. And if we compare these two dates, everything seems to go fine. And also, we can compare the planned and the forecasted arrival date, and there we spot a certain problem. And then applying some certain some algorithms, we can, for instance, indicate the probability that this delay can be caught up. And this again helps us to direct our attention. Where should we focus first in order to mitigate the problem, either by selecting different logistics service providers or other modes of transport, or at least telling our customer that this shipment is going to be delayed, that he or she can adapt their production capacities. So these are only some of the features which are integrated in the delay detector. Besides, we are currently working on other modules, on other apps, such as one which facilitates the facility location problem, one which allows customer demand prediction in order to indicate which customer will ship which quantity of which good in which direction. Then there's one module to support the greenhouse gas scope 3 calculation. And at this point, I hope that I could give you some insights, some into the project and to the tools that we are currently offering. If there are any questions, please do not hesitate to ask, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, both of you, for being here with us today. It's interesting because we have many customers that have approached us over the last 2 years that I have been here with exactly this use case. Hey, you have all of our data in your data network. How about actually making some intelligence decisions on top of it, and how about actually giving us insight into it? So we are very happy to have you on board in the intelligence ecosystem. And in this case, we do indeed have a couple of minutes, 1 or 2, to answer questions if there are any from the audience. Just quick side note, of course, you can find the solution from Like Solutions on the marketplace as well, in detail with contact information and all of this gathered. And I believe both of them will also be available to you in the partner area.